Y'all heard what Charles Barkley said last night?
Not play hard, just say he doesn't have joy in it.
Oh, no, first of all, that's total. I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't want to hear all that stuff. This is all about money.
Now, I know these words have probably never been uttered before, but I think Charles Barkley was right. Of course, we've been covering this whole Jimmy Butler saga and speculating on the reasons why he might want out. Like, maybe he's unhappy with Pat Riley's comment. Maybe he is unhappy with his role, as he said, but I think we all kind of know that was BS. Or maybe he wants an actual shot at winning a championship. Now, of course, we discussed the money aspect of it also with the Heat not giving him the max extension that he wants. But now I think that's 100% the main reason why Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami. And it was just a week ago that Shams put out that initial article on ESPN saying that Jimmy Butler would be willing to go to anywhere but Miami. But just yesterday, we got multiple reports that Jimmy Butler's camp told multiple teams not to trade for him. First, it was the Memphis Grizzlies, then it was the Milwaukee Bucks. And for those reports to all of a sudden come out so randomly, that tells me that the deal was close. And if Jimmy really wanted to win, if his main priority about leaving Miami was to actually contend for a championship, that wouldn't have happened. Because we talked about a framework deal for the Memphis Grizzlies. They could have sent like Marcus Smart and John Conchar and Luke Kennard to make the money work. Send that over to Miami with a first-round pick. Now, all of a sudden, the Grizzlies have a starting lineup of this: Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Zach Edey. You telling me that team couldn't compete for a championship? And of course, same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. They could have made a deal work around
Hold on.
others.
Hey, you. Yeah, you watching this video. You think you can guard me? Go ahead, check up. I'll tell you what. If you score me, you don't got to subscribe. How about that? Let's go. I mean, you can still subscribe if you want to, you know what I'm saying?
Salary filler outside of Dame and Giannis. Now you got a big three of Dame, Jimmy, and Giannis. You telling me that team couldn't compete for the East? So now to me, it's more clear than ever that Jimmy Butler specifically wants to go to the Phoenix Suns.
There is only one team that is ready to pay Jimmy Butler exactly what he wants, and that is the Phoenix Suns.
If you're not familiar with the Suns owner, he's a crazy man by the name of Matt Ishbia, and he's so crazy and cares so little about throwing away money that he's essentially giving away concessions at all Suns home games for dirt cheap. From now on, all hot dogs, popcorn, bag of chips, Dasani water bottles, and fountain drinks will only be $2, which is definitely a cool move for sure. So I do got a lot of respect for Matt Ishbia. But also, of course, he's not a guy who's afraid to take the big swing because he did trade for that massive Bradley Beal contract. And you know who else is not afraid to take a big swing? Phoenix Suns GM James Jones. Yes, that James Jones. The same guy that used to check in at the end of Heat games and jack up like 9 threes in the final 45 seconds. And I love him for it. Miami Legends, James Jones, awesome shooter. So I think it's extremely safe to say that the Phoenix Suns are aggressively pursuing Jimmy Butler. They would certainly give him that max extension. And then, of course, Jimmy Butler would really want to go there. The problem is, though, the only way the Suns could make a Jimmy Butler deal work is by moving Bradley Beal. And right now, nobody wants that huge contract.
Could Bradley Beal be on the move?
Sounds like no. His agent Mark Bartelstein told me there's been no discussions either with the Suns or any other team about Bradley Beal waiving his no-trade clause.
And right now, in the year of 2025, Bradley Beal is making a whopping $50 million. And next season, that goes up to $53 million. And then the following season after that, it goes up to $57 million for Bradley Beal, who's going to be at the age of 33 years old. Now, yes, that last year is a player option, but I highly doubt that Bradley Beal will turn down all that money when he's 33. So, of course, Miami doesn't want that contract. Now, can the Suns find a third team? Maybe. You know, I've heard the Pistons and Magic as potential suitors. I suppose that makes sense. Maybe those teams can convince themselves that Beal's numbers are down solely because his role is decreased. Obviously, when you're playing with Booker and KD, you're not going to get as much usage. And I think both those teams are kind of gunning for playoff positioning as teams that haven't had a lot of success recently. I guess more so the Pistons. They really would just like to make the playoffs after missing it for so long. Of course, they lost Jaden Ivey for quite a while, so Beal could kind of fit right in there at that starting 2 spot next to Cade. And on the Magic side of things, they need more scoring from the guard position. They got a bunch of defenders, but not many people that could put the ball in the hole outside of Paolo and Franz, who are hurt. And yes, Jalen Suggs is doing a really good job scoring in the meantime, but I don't really think that's super sustainable. So I do think there's a fit for Beal in either of these situations. But if one of those teams or another team doesn't want to take on Bradley Beal, or unless Kevin Durant gets really disgruntled and asks out, I guess that could work, right? Who's to say the Suns and Heat can't do a little disgruntled star for disgruntled star, little flippy flop, kind of like we saw with Ben Simmons and James Harden just a couple of years ago? It could happen. The Suns are like a couple games under 500 right now, and in the Western Conference, that's a killer. They're not even in the play-in tournament right now. We know KD has a tendency to ask out when things don't go well, and if he does ask out, I could see Miami maybe wanting to make a move, and then instead of the Suns trading Beal, they trade Kevin Durant. Now, of course, they wouldn't be as good of a team, but I don't care about that. I'll take KD on the Miami Heat, but I think I'll have a whole other video discussing that whole topic because I do think there is some potential legitimacy to that. But if KD doesn't ask out and there's not a third team for Beal, the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler are currently at a stalemate.
And from my discussions, I don't think the Heat have any traction. I don't think there's any deal that they like. I don't think there's many teams that are offering them anything that they consider any actionable thing. I think the Heat are preparing for a future with Jimmy Butler back on the roster.
So what that means is the Heat are actually preparing to bring Jimmy Butler back to the team once his 7-game suspension ends, something that was widely reported over the last couple of days. And that means that the Heat and Jimmy Butler have the chance to do the funniest thing possible. I mean, imagine these dudes come back together and win the championship this year, something that I actually tweeted out and for some reason went a little viral, has like 2.5K likes on that tweet. I don't know why, but could that actually happen? I mean, maybe. Y'all seen the way Nikola Jovic been playing lately? I actually forgot that Jimmy Butler was suspended the way Jaime Hawk has been playing because he's out there looking like a Jimmy Butler light. But seriously, it does look like Jimmy Butler can return to the team on January 17th when the Heat play the Nuggets, if he's not traded by then, I guess. Now, will he play? I would think so, right? Will he try? I would also have to think so because it does him no good to go out there and coast because who's going to want to trade for him and who's going to want to pay him if he continues to look bad out there? And I was confused why he even coasted during the Pelicans game and Pacers game in the first place because we've seen Jimmy Butler disgruntled in other stops. And what does he do? Go back to Minnesota. He took the third stringers in practice and beat the ass of the starters because he tried. He used that anger to go all out. I don't know why he wouldn't do that here. And I would like him to do that because I would want to win a few more games while he was here. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But let's say he does go out there on the court and coast and just sit in the corner or go off in the post-game press conference and say a bunch of negative things. I suppose that he could just suspend him again at that point. But until then, I'll just ignorantly cope and pretend like they're going to come back together and be one big happy family again. But who knows? Maybe it could happen. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. Where do you think the situation with Jimmy Butler is headed? Make sure y'all like and comment because I'm very curious to hear what everyone thinks. Hit subscribe because I'm on the grind to 7K subs now. And also, I'm working on a very, very special video that I did tease a little bit in yesterday's post game versus the Warriors. It's going to be a good one. It's a special video, so make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. It should be out within the next couple of days. It's a bit of a big project, so it's taking some time. But that being said, I'll see y'all with the next video. So peace out, y'all.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.